As a JW, Jehovah's Witness, all of my interactions growing up were centered on God. In elementary school, I looked at the other kids, hoping one day they would accept the magazines from church that I kept in my backpack. These kids are so stupid. All the answers are right here in the watchtower. I would think to myself, if they don't listen and convert, they're going to burn with all of the other sinners on Armageddon Day. I went to every door in Manteca, my little town by Stockton, begging for people to accept the true religion. I went to church 3 times a week and wasn't allowed to wear anything that made me look worldly, like the other kids. I liked knowing exactly what was going to happen with the future. I didn't have to worry about death because I knew the dead were just waiting to be resurrected to a paradise. I was only 9 the morning of 9/11. I sat with my feet tucked under myself, a blue quilted blanket draped over my shoulders. The brightness from the TV stung my eyes as I watched. I almost couldn't hear what the news lady said over the crunch of my cereal. The same video played on repeat with headlines like, "Hijacked plane crashes into the towers," or "A terrorist attack." The time had come, just like the elders at the church had said. Their words ran through my mind, "Rejoice for persecution. The end is near and will appear like a thief in the night." In my church, we were always preparing to be strong-minded. We were firm in our belief that Armageddon was coming. Now I knew it was real. They weren't lying. Now was the time when the world was going to turn against us. Now we were going to be put into concentration camps until Jehovah decided to burn this world to the ground so we could rebuild it to be a paradise. I wonder, am I as strong as the witnesses in World War II that died because they refused to salute Hitler? My sister and I tie our shoes and grab our backpacks. We head out the door and on our way to school. Nina, my older sister, walks calmly, Walkman in hand. I am not so calm. I'm excited and nervous. I can't stop from power walking in front of her, hands and legs shaking and heartbeat racing. We finally arrived at the front of the school, kids all piling in with their groups of friends. I stand by my classroom door, alone as usual, as I wait for the teacher to let me in. I stare anxiously at the sky, waiting for the bombs to be dropped and explosions to start. I begin to think about all those kids that had denied my Bible study offers. Those poor, stupid kids who had turned their face to the only true religion. I was sad for them because Jehovah would not protect them from Judgment Day. I was going to be in a paradise earth playing with lions and tigers, and they probably weren't going to be there. At the time, I had one recess friend. Her name was Brittany, a tall, skinny girl. I had spied her Bible one day and asked her, "Hey, are you in the truth?" Turns out we went to the same assembly. So when recess time comes, I search for the only other girl standing alone. Our eyes meet. My feet tingle and sting as they hit the blacktop with fury, running toward her. I glide into her arms, finally a warm embrace. We jump for joy under the gray sky, a perfect scene for the end of the world as the clouds lightly drizzle us with rain. Together we chant, "Armageddon is here! Rejoice for persecution!" As we all know, the end of the world did not come that day. Brittany and I were so confident in what our parents had taught us. While I was growing up, I was never allowed to be with the kids who didn't believe like us. I sat in my room, imagining what a birthday party would feel like to attend. From what I saw in the movies, they looked like a lot of fun. The kids all smile big, faces bright and excited. They usually had jumpy houses, candy, cakes, goodie bags, and those piñatas. The kids laughing and screaming with joy. Halloween always interested me as well, probably because this was the worst holiday out there in the eyes of the church. The day when demons were praised and celebrated. I wanted so badly to dress up each year. I wanted to walk the streets at night, dressed like something dead, begging for candy. We had to keep all the light in the house out. the TV off so the misguided kids would ignore our house. Nina and I laid over the couch, belly down. The blinds were cracked just enough we could see them with one of our eyes, but they couldn't see us. We made fun of the girls in their slutty costumes and pointed out all the good ones, the scariest, creepiest outfits. At Thanksgiving, it was time for everyone else to draw turkeys from their hands and the pilgrims. I sat next to everyone else coloring maple leaves, because coloring turkeys and pilgrims in November was pagan and considered the same as celebrating. I couldn't draw turkeys in November, nor pine trees in December, and no pumpkins in October. I would not accept your tainted birthday cupcakes when passed around the classroom. Any holiday-related assignments, I would politely decline. I'd say, "This is against my religion," quietly, with red cheeks and clammy hands fidgeting. We were a small group who were supposed to be no part of this world. I was an outsider all my life, looking in on the rest of the world as time ticked by. Any influence from the worldly kids would weaken our spirituality. If we allowed such influences into our lives, we'd lose our faith, and when that judgment day arrived, we wouldn't be strong enough to survive the persecution. In junior high, dances came and went. I eavesdropped on everyone else's plans for the events, what they were wearing, who they were going with, what they were doing afterwards, but I stayed home for each one. Bad association spoils useful habits, 1 Corinthians 15:33, the elders recited. I was happy to have this excuse. Here is the one time I didn't have that thought in the back of my mind, the one that said, "You're missing out. Don't you feel like a freak trapped in a bubble?" The thought of being at a dance terrified me. First, standing alone against a wall with my head facing the ground horrified me. Second, I was having immoral thoughts of dancing with girls instead of guys. And third, I had no idea how to dance. My sister got yanked out of high school for having a boyfriend, and soon I was getting homeschooled. I was starting to question my faith. I had started getting semi-close with some of the worldly kids, but I was still afraid of being disfellowshipped. If you're disfellowshipped, it means the elders have pulled you aside, you confess all your sins. If you're unrepentant, they deem you as bad association or tainted goods. And then at the weekly meeting, you'll hear an announcement: Shelby McQuown has been disfellowshipped. Being gay was one of the worst sins. If you leave the church, you can only have limited contact with your family. I was about to be 18, and one day that eternal battle was won. With one fell swoop, I made the decision to leave. I could no longer stand being told who was good association and who wasn't. And the biggest of all, I wouldn't preach to the community about a God I didn't believe in. I knew leaving wouldn't be easy. I knew this meant losing every single person I called a friend growing up. I lost my faith in the idea of a paradise earth or judgment day. I lost faith in God at all. My moral fibers would not allow me to go from door to door, lying to each person who opened up. I couldn't gloat how wonderful God was and how he would take care of his people, tricking the ones who desperately needed some kind of hope. I moved out, bought a car, lived out of it for a while, and finally got my own apartment. Every single person I called a friend growing up considered me as bad as Satan now. But even though I no longer agree with all the teachings of the church, I do appreciate the very strange childhood it gave me and the very strange person it made me. The day of my 18th birthday, I started my shift at Denny's, just like any other day. As I got ready to go home that night, say my goodbyes, I couldn't find Cassandra, our host. I called her name, walking around like a lost child, until I see her walk around the corner, holding chocolate cupcakes with candles in each one. Immediately, tears start rolling down my face, goosebumps spreading down my arm. "Happy birthday to you," they start off, and before they could finish the song, I blew out the candles, wiping tears with the corner of my shirt and helping them sing the rest. They all laugh and hug me. "I didn't know you waited till the song was over before you blew out the candles."
That was Shelby McQuown.